I've been daily driving an ultra-wide monitor for video editing and gaming for 2 years now, and it has been such a great experience. Video editing software with a really long horizontal timeline makes so much sense to pair with an ultra-wide, and for gaming, if you want something super immersive, an ultra-wide is a no-brainer. But if there's one area where ultra-wide monitors have been lacking, that is in the area of resolution. Put simply, in the past, if you wanted to use an ultra-wide monitor, you were most likely going to end up needing to sacrifice on the amount of pixels that the screen could display if you wanted that ultra-wide goodness. This actually led to me recommending, let's say, an interesting setup, where I recommended that if you wanted to use an ultra-wide monitor for 4K editing, that was fine, but if you wanted to actually be able to view your rendered 4K video in its native resolution, I would pair that ultra-wide monitor with a more traditional 16:9 monitor with a 4K screen. That all leads us to the monitor that we need to talk about today, which is the Dell U4025QW. Mouthful of letters and numbers there, I know, but this monitor's claim to fame is that it is the first monitor that I've used that not only has an ultra-wide aspect ratio, but still has an even higher than 4K resolution. Specifically, this monitor offers a resolution of 5120 by 2160, so this monitor is really the best of both worlds. You're getting a monitor that's still capable of playing back every pixel of a 4K video at its native resolution, while also giving you the extra screen real estate for editing that you get from an ultra-wide. Oh yeah, and it also has an extremely color-accurate IPS black display for color grading and a 120Hz panel, which makes it surprisingly good for gaming. It's pretty darn magical. This is like a unicorn monitor that can edit video and game, and I'm really excited about it. Oh, and did I mention that it's also 40 inches? It's massive. It's larger than my 1-year-old baby. It's a huge monitor. Anyways, in case you haven't guessed right now, I'm going to be excitedly reviewing this monitor from the perspective of a video editor, and though we're not going to talk about gaming as much, just know that if you wanted to, you can very easily do that with this screen. Also, I want you to know that for the sake of ethics, this video is not paid or sponsored by Dell, but they did send me this monitor so I could make this review. But this video does have a sponsor, and it's my friends at Track Club. A subscription to Track Club gives you access to a meticulously curated, small batch catalog of music for you to license for your films. And I have to tell you, they have one of the best libraries out there with so many unique sounding song choices. Not to mention, every one of these high-quality songs is customizable in your web browser, so you can change the volume of individual instruments in the song and then download and license that customized track to use in your video. You can check out Track Club for yourself and get 2 months free when you use my link down in the video description. Getting right into the review then, the first thing you're going to notice about the Dell U4025QW is just how massive this monitor is. When they shipped it to me, it came in a massive box that held a slightly smaller, yet still massive box, and spoiler, once the monitor was set up, it was still massive. That said, I want to shout out the unboxing process that Dell has made with this monitor because it was incredibly well thought out and intuitive with numbered steps, and like I just said, considering how large this monitor is, the riskiest moment is whenever you could break something is really whenever you're taking it out of the box, so I really appreciated how easy this monitor was to put together and get up and running. Once you get it set up and your brain starts to process the extreme size of screen that you've just purchased, you're going to notice that this monitor is curved. And I know I'm going to get called out about this if I do not address it. In my last review for an ultra-wide, I said that I do not like curved monitors, but I got a surprisingly large amount of comments that disagreed with me on that from a very vocal contingent of people that apparently love curved monitors. And in addition, now that I've had more experience with curved ultrawide monitors that I've used and seen from friends, etc., as well as this one, I'm softened in my heart a bit about them not being good, and I think that using a curved ultrawide monitor is perfectly fine. That is, as long as it's a curved ultrawide that's using an IPS panel, not a VA panel. You may have heard me say it before, but VA panels are not good when it comes to viewing angles and color accuracy, and you really want an IPS panel if you want the footage that you're viewing to be accurate, and this accuracy is really important because you want to be able to color grade your footage and know that how it looks on your screen is how it's going to look on anyone else's screen that's watching your video. Thankfully, this monitor uses an IPS black panel, which you can consider sort of a subgenre subgenre of IPS panels that have two big benefits. The first is that IPS black panels have better contrast levels, so the blacks are going to look blacker and the colors are going to pop out more. To be clear, it's still not as good as an OLED panel, but it's still a jump over a traditional IPS panel. In addition, an IPS black panel gives you a wider viewing angle, which means your colors aren't going to shift if you're viewing the monitor off axis. With my Gigabyte Ultrawide, I had to move my head so it was centered on my preview window in my editing software when I was color grading to make sure that the image colors weren't shifting. Thankfully, with this monitor, you don't have to do that, and the colors look accurate regardless of where you're going to be sitting. Now, in regards to the curved nature of this Dell monitor in particular, I want you to know this is a pretty darn subtle curve. And if you're looking at the monitor off-center, you can tell that it's curved, but whenever you're sitting directly in front of it, the curve is much less obvious. And if anything, it just makes the monitor feel closer to you and slightly less big than it is. It takes a bit of using it to get used to it, but once you do, I think you're going to love it. Talking the stand now, this is an area where I do have a bit of a complaint about this monitor, and that is that while the stand is a sturdy base that's quite adjustable where you can raise it up and down and tilt it, and it doesn't feel like it's going to tip over or anything like that, I can't help but feel that this screen is pushing the stand to its limits, specifically in the area of stability. In short, if you have your monitor on your desk and you just bump it or push on your desk in any way, the monitor's going to wobble a bit from side to side. And my concern is that if you're someone that types aggressively, there's a chance that your screen may wobble and this may bother you. For me, it's not a big deal, and I usually use a monitor arm that's attached to my desk, so that's probably what I'm going to do in this situation as long as I can find an arm that's strong enough to hold this giant of a monitor. Just know that this monitor does come with a VESA mount, so that's an option for you as well. Lastly, in regards to the overall build of this monitor, let's talk inputs, because this one gives you a lot. You have HDMI 2.1, you have DisplayPort 1.4, you have Thunderbolt 4 for power and daisy chaining, USB-C, 4 USB-A ports, and heck, there's even a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. Also, I just lied to you. There's actually 2 more USB-C and 1 USB-A in a hidden slide-out panel in the front. It's super slick and I love it. So yeah, this monitor can work as a USB hub and a KVM for switching between multiple computers, and you can daisy chain multiple monitors together. It's pretty nuts. And especially if you have a laptop with limited ports, this monitor is going to give you a ton of expansion. Let's finally turn it on though. I've made you wait long enough. Out of the box, this monitor is pre-calibrated from the factory, and it comes with a piece of paper reporting that it has been tuned for color accuracy, but don't worry, I tested that and calibrated it myself with my Spider X2 Ultra. Dell says this monitor hits 100% of the Rec 709 and 99% of the DCI-P3 color spaces, and in my testing, that does appear to be accurate. In short, this is a very color accurate screen, and I have zero qualms about recommending it for color grading. This was proved to me again in the real world whenever I opened up a video editing project in DaVinci Resolve and color graded it. To me, the colors looked vibrant and accurate. There was minimal light bleed around the edges of the monitor. The colors looked consistent across the panel. And most importantly, in my opinion, for testing a video, whenever I watched the video back that I color graded using this monitor on other screens and displays in my house, the colors looked the same across all of them, which tells you that this monitor is not going to give you dramatically different colors than you would expect. Now, as I said at the beginning of this review, one of the biggest perks of this monitor is its resolution. Namely, it's an ultra-wide, but you still get enough pixels for the screen to display a native 4K image on it. Specifically, this monitor is 5120 by 2160, so when you play back an Ultra HD video at 3840 by 2160, the monitor's not going to have to downscale the image. You're going to be able to see it in true 4K, with the only difference being that you're going to get black bars on the sides of the screen because your video is only going to be 3840 pixels wide, not 5120. What's nice too is that if you're filming and editing a video in DCI 4K, which is a larger 4096 by 2160, you're still going to be able to view this video natively, which is great. Oh, and yes, just like with any other 21:9 ultra-wide monitor, if you're someone that likes to film and edit in the 2:35:1 aspect ratio, where you cut off the tops and bottoms of your video to get that super cinematic thin image, what's great is that this will translate perfectly to this ultra-wide monitor, meaning you're going to get a full screen image on it, and it looks spectacular when you watch movies. Talking bits here for a second, I do want you to know that this monitor is technically 8-bit plus AFRC, which, if you don't know what those words mean, just In short, it means that this is a 10-bit monitor, meaning that it's capable of displaying billions of colors, which does make it possible to edit HDR video if you wanted to do that. But just know this monitor is only rated to the HDR 600 specification, meaning that it can hit a maximum of 600 nits of peak brightness in HDR. Typically for HDR, you're going to ideally want a monitor that can hit at least 1,000 nits. So in that case, you may want to look at something brighter. Just prepare your wallet in advance, because a monitor that can hit 1,000 nits is probably going to be quite expensive. Anyways, I told you this video is mainly focused on reviewing this monitor for video editors, but I did say this monitor was good for gaming as well, and I've definitely not been disappointed by it. This ultrawide comes with a 120Hz screen, meaning that you can play games up to 120 FPS on it, and when I tested this for many hours, which I told my wife it was for research purposes, so please back me up on that if she asks you, just know that the screen is, as I said before, incredibly massive, and the motion is very smooth, it's super immersive, and yeah, you can spend a lot of time gaming on this screen. You really can. I'm also happy to tell you that while Dell does not mention AMD FreeSync or NVIDIA's G-Sync on their website for this monitor, they do mention VRR, which is a blanket term for that technology, so I was very pleased to discover that I could enable G-Sync on this monitor, and it worked great. Overall, I'm really impressed by this monitor and the amount of features that Dell has been able to put into it. Like I said at the start of this review, I feel like ultrawides have always had a lot of compromises, where you could get a really immersive ultrawide screen, but it came at the expense of only having a VA panel that was bad for color grading. Or you could have something like the Gigabyte Ultrawide that I used for 2 years, where the IPS panel was great for color grading, but it wasn't 4K resolution, so I had to pair that with a separate 4K screen. With the Dell U4025QW, still a mouthful, it feels like a monitor with virtually no compromises, because you get a really color accurate screen that's high resolution enough, while also being 120 Hz so you can game on it too. Throw in the amount of ports and the Thunderbolt hub and the KVM switch, and this is a super full-featured monitor that checks so many of the boxes that many editors and gamers are looking for, and I'm a big fan. Let's talk the price though. Coming in at about $1,800 at the time of making this video, this is definitely not a cheap monitor, and for that price there are a lot of other options out there. But in all of my testing and research, if you're looking for a really big 40-inch ultra-wide screen that prioritizes color accuracy that you need for video editing while giving you a high-resolution panel at 120 Hz, that's where the list of competitors gets pretty darn short, and where this monitor becomes a really compelling option if it's what you're looking for. So yeah, it is a lot of money, but I also think that if you get it, you're going to be really happy with it for many years. With that, thanks so much for watching. If you're a video editor, I would love to help you out even more, so I've put together a free guide called Edit Videos Like a Pro. This guide is going to show you some of the most important things that took me years to learn as a video editor, and it's going to apply to you regardless of whether you are using Premiere Pro or Resolve or Final Cut. Like I said, it's completely free, and I will link to it down in the video description. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.